Everyone keeps asking this question: how do I become entirely financially free using Robert Kiyosaki's principles? If you don't know what these principles are, I'm going to list off the main 4, and then we're going to dive into them to get you completely away from your 9-to-5 job. So without wasting more time, Robert wrote a book in 1997 called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, in which he explains that he was raised by his father, who had a poor man's mentality, but his friend's dad had a rich man's mentality. So what was his friend's dad's mentality, and how did it differ from his biological dad? Well, the poor dad believed in the traditional get an education, get a job, and earn money. This mentality followed the idea that whenever you make money, you can spend it on whatever you want, which is what we call liabilities, which is essentially anything that takes money out of your pocket. So someone with this mindset works their entire life just to make ends meet, and they go paycheck to paycheck with a considerable amount of debt. And maybe if the person used their employer's 401k plan, they could retire with an okay life, but still having to budget so that they can make ends meet until the entire duration of their life is over. A rich dad, on the other hand, believed in creating wealth through entrepreneurship and investments, which in other words is using the mindset of letting your money work for you. So someone with this mentality works really hard for 10 to 20 years and then becomes a multimillionaire, being able to retire without having to budget or work again. Now here's the 4 main principles behind the rich man's mentality. Starting at number 4 is overcoming your obstacles. Now, Robert stated that the main difference between poor and rich people is the way they manage their fear. The fear of losing money is one of the biggest obstacles that people face in obtaining their financial goals. You see, it's important to view money kind of like a game. You have to give some to get more back, kind of like an investment. That way you understand that the loss of money is just temporary, and so the fear won't be so intense. Now, other obstacles that people face are laziness, arrogance, and cynicism. So think about somebody that thinks that the world's going to end tomorrow, so they won't invest today. Those people, by the time they get to be retired, they won't have any savings left, and so they'll still be working their 9-to-5 job. The earlier you can overcome these challenges, the faster you can actually obtain your goals to becoming wealthy. Now that sounds all great and everything, but how do we actually do that? How does a person overcome fear and doubt and arrogance and cynicism and laziness? Now I'm going to get to that in a few minutes, so stick around. Now the 3rd principle on this list is really important, and that is that the money that you keep is more important than the money that you make. What do I mean by this? Essentially, the first step to investing is having the money to actually invest. That's why poor people have a hard time investing, because they can't save the money enough even to cover their expenses. So for example, if you make $2,000 a month, but your expenses are also $2,000 a month, then you have a net savings of $0 and you can't invest anything. So this keeps you in a bind, living from paycheck to paycheck. Most rich people prioritize saving over spending so that they actually have the money to invest with. Now, when they invest, they're actually putting their money towards income-generating assets. Now, assets are different than liabilities because liabilities are those things that take money out of your pocket, and assets are those things that put money into your pocket. So really, to focus in on this principle, you have to create a budget and generate income through other means. Now, the 2nd principle in this list is letting your money work for you. See, working hard and earning income just isn't going to cut it. You need to invest your money earned into income-generating assets, and this will help you earn passive income as a reward for your investments. You see, investing in assets will help you increase your income and help you identify wealth creation opportunities. Having a job is a quick fix solution to a long-term challenge of wealth creation, and the quick fix may be essential in the very beginning, but it is not the long-term solution. And finally, the 1st principle, which I think is most important on this list, is gaining knowledge. That is, gaining knowledge on financial freedom and literacy. You see, you can't apply financial knowledge that you don't have. And Robert recommends reading a lot of financial books so that you can gain your knowledge on personal finance, and this could include attending seminars. For example, the rich dad's knowledge of taxes helped him to pay less taxes than the poor dad who was earning less. You see, it's important to focus in on the learning rather than the earning in order to become wealthy. The common theme with many rich people is that they're learning and developing skills, which allows them to create wealth. So let's look at a real-life application of these 4 principles. You're a 9-to-5 worker who's barely scraping by to make ends meet. You have just enough, if you're lucky, to cover all of your food, your bills, your mortgage, your house repairs, your car repairs, rent if you're renting, and a car payment if you have one. So covering all of these expenses, you're probably wondering, is there a better way? And the good news is, Yes, there is. But before you know it, fear and doubt's going to settle in, and you're going to wonder if all of these people that are coming up with better ideas are just full of fluff. And remember that I said that I would address the fears that you might have and how to overcome them. One of the best ways to overcome them is gaining knowledge. But take caution in the time that you spend toward gaining knowledge. Because as you gain knowledge, you also can upset the work-life balance with your family, and nothing is more important than your family relationships. So you set 1 hour a day to research financial knowledge. This is like Dave Ramsey and maybe the money guys, but you can also read lots of good books. And here's a really good list of books to help you get ahead. And if you don't have time, you can also use the app Audible so that you can listen to these books on your way to work. And you'll notice that as you start listening, your mind will start to envelop a lot of these ideas and start brainstorming for ways that you can generate more income. Furthermore, it's going to elevate your mind to a more bright and beautiful future for you and your family, that you won't have to be working so hard and you'll be generating passive income. So as you do this, you'll gain an understanding of how money works, and you'll start generating ways of how to begin your journey. Now, I forewarn you, this is going to be a little overwhelming because there's a lot of ways to generate wealth and there's a lot of people pushing different ideas. I urge you to just focus in on one idea and then go with it. And while you're doing that, don't fear failure, because failure is the path to success, quite contrary to what your education taught you. As you focus in on this plan, write it down along with a complete vision of who you want to become in 10 years. This will be your driving force every day as you press forward, especially during the hard days, to help you pick up and keep going, because I guarantee it's going to get very difficult and a lot of people are going to doubt whether you can do this or not. So begin with the end in mind and then set out every year all of your goals and objectives and how you're going to reach that end goal in 10 years. Now the next step is saving, because if you don't save, then you won't have any money to invest in towards whatever idea this is that you're going to go after. So you begin writing down your liabilities and your assets. Now if you add the total of your assets minus your liabilities, that's going to be your net worth. And the amount of money that you need every day to maintain your expenses is called your cash flow. And again, your cash flow will increase as your assets increase because you'll start having more passive income generation. Now here's a list of your common liabilities. This includes your credit card debt, your student loans, and your car loan. These are all things that are taking money from you and are not ever going to produce you any income whatsoever. You'll also notice that a house is on this list of liabilities because your house that you're living in, if you're not renting it out, does not produce any income for you. Now here's a list of maybe some examples of assets that you might have. Some of these include like real estate, investments, and a business if you're starting up a business. In fact, investing in your own business is one of the best investments you can ever make. Now, if you're only just getting started, then you probably have a lot of liabilities and hardly any assets. So now you need a budget in order to save money to put towards assets in the future. So to do this, you have to prioritize your needs from your wants. And this will help you save enough income to invest in your business idea or in the market. For example, if you want to create a YouTube channel to generate income for your family, then you'll have to invest into a nice camera and lighting and maybe a microphone and some editing software. But don't worry, if you don't have the funds right now, you can use your cell phone to get started. And for the lighting, you can actually use like a window with some shading to create some natural light coming into the room. And then for the editing software, there's actually some free versions out there that I'll list right here for you. Now, specifically for YouTube, you generally don't make a lot of income in the first year, if any. So it's more of an investment for that entire amount of time. But once you start generating income, you can actually make millions, and that can really change your life. And really, this is not an easy thing to do, even though it sounds easy, but it is an investment of time, resources, money, and effort into creating wealth for your family and changing your entire life and your whole retirement plan. So anyways, as you generate lots of value for your audience, you can actually make quite a bit of money on YouTube. Other good routes of income is like setting up an Etsy store or Shopify, or even being a freelancer where you can start editing people's videos online. Now you can also create your own business like producing products or marketing. You see, the rich can invent money by creating new services and new products that meet people's needs. Essentially, anyone can become wealthy by using their creativity and innovation to create value in the marketplace. And as you press forward, investing a little bit of money and a lot of time up front, you'll start seeing the cash flow within a year or two. And once the cash flow starts coming in, you'll have a tendency to start buying more things. But remember that the rich man's mentality is to let the money work for you, not the other way around. So the way to do that is to invest that money instead. So when you invest, some good options is the S&P 500 or using ETFs and mutual funds that have a really good historical return. Also, dividends are a really good way to start increasing your cash flow. It's passive income. Literally, it's income that you don't have to work for. And one of the biggest mistakes that investors make is that they don't research what they invest into. So when you invest, make sure you understand what you're investing into. And before you know it, as you apply these principles, you'll be making plenty of income to take care of you and your family, and especially paving a path for you and your family in the future. Now, in some of my past videos, I've focused on ways to save you money using engineering strategies, mortgage options, and AI and bookkeeping side hustles. So click on any of these videos if you're in that phase of your financial freedom goals, and I will see you guys next time.